Welcome everybody. Today we're talking about Abominable, and I'm joined by Josh and Kat as always. Hi guys.
Abominable.
We had a little break. How you guys feeling? Feeling better? Ready to talk about a giant snowman from the Mount Everest?
I'm ready to talk about a movie I don't hate with everything in me.
Alright,
Yay!
sounds good. Change of pace.
Finally.
So, this movie was directed by a lady named Jill. She directed Monsters Inc. and all the open season movies, who'd have thought. And this movie comes from us from DreamWorks, and it stars people as Chloe Bennett
Yes.
from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. fame, and Sarah Paulson from American Horror Story fame. And I guess let's just jump into it. What do you guys think? Overall impressions?
I went into this movie looking for just some dumb fun that I could enjoy for an hour and a half, and I got that, but I was surprised at how much heart this movie had, and I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Cool, alright.
I will absolutely agree. I didn't walk in expecting to be like impacted per se. I was just excited for like a movie that I wasn't gonna trash. Mostly because Chloe Bennett's in it, and I very much like her. But I really thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was super awesome and very well done.
Alright, awesome. I too wasn't looking for really anything while going to this movie. I went and saw this in 3D.
Ooh.
Surprisingly, I didn't even know that thing was still around.
That sounds sick.
Yeah. It was so visually this movie works for 3D. But I went to this movie not expecting much. It was a late work day for me, so I just wanted to get in and get out. And I ended up wanting to stay longer than I thought. So I say that's something good about this movie. But also I think this movie is also still sort of a kids movie at heart.
Oh, definitely.
Still not like a Pixar or Disney type film.
Sure.
But still, it's like I forget sometimes how good of a movie DreamWorks can make. And for me, this is very much just above the middle of the road. There are a few things in there that just take it above there. We'll get into that later with spoilers, but I guess, what did you guys not like without any spoilers then, if anything?
You know, that's tough because we were talking about how this movie, I'm not in the demographic for this movie, really, because it is definitely more of a kid's movie. But a lot of the humor worked for me.
David.
David.
I knew it.
There was a lot in there that I actually was surprised, like, okay, well, considering that I'm not in this demographic, this is nice that I can still enjoy
Find
it.
something, right.
I'm not sure that I had a lot of complaints.
Okay, Kat?
I think non-spoiler, I don't really have any overall complaints. I mean, obviously, there were points in the comedy where I was like, yeah, this movie's for children.
Yeah.
But also, there were a lot of times in the movie where I cackled out loud.
Yeah.
It was really funny.
Yeah, me too.
At a lot of the movie, it was very funny and very enjoyable. So I wouldn't say there's overall anything that I'm like, no.
I'd say personally, I think a lot of the humor itself is more geared towards kids, which isn't bad.
Yeah.
Like we reviewed Dora like a month ago. I think that as well is very much a kids movie. I think this is definitely a leg up above Dora.
Yes.
As we all know, I'm like the sole defender of that Dora movie, but
Yeah.
but yeah, again, I'm going to agree with you guys. I'm sure we all agree this is better than Dora and the Lost City of Gold.
For sure.
Because one, this movie has a lot of heart.
It does.
Surprisingly, like it reminds me a lot of Kung Fu Panda, in a way, if that makes sense to you guys. Also made by DreamWorks.
Because it's in Asia.
No. I'll get to why it reminds me of Kung Fu Panda. Little weird there. Not because of Asia. Fine, I'll just get into it. Well, let's just get into what we like because we all seem to really like this movie. I think the music itself reminds me a lot of Kung Fu Panda.
The music is fantastic.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was gonna say. I love the music in this movie.
Absolutely.
I looked into the composer and I was surprised if there is a Adam Sandler or Kevin James movie that's been made since 2007. This guy composed it. He also composed Wonder Woman and Aquaman.
Wonder Woman is awesome.
Debate for later.
That theme is awesome.
And he also composed the Bee Movie, which is DreamWorks.
Yeah.
And I have to throw this in there. Thunderpants 2002. If you haven't seen it, look into it. It's a terrible movie.
Okay.
He composed it, but the music was phenomenal.
Yeah.
I'm a sucker for great violin.
It reminded me a lot of like Oogway's theme song from Kung Fu Panda.
That's fair.
That and with I forgot.
Everest.
Everest like singing works so well together, and it's just I love that there's not like an overture of like other instruments coming. It's just the violin and sometimes Everest, and it's great.
Absolutely agreed.
I guess what else did you guys really like about this movie without spoilers?
I very much enjoyed the dynamic between the three characters. Not counting Everest, of course I enjoyed that too, but specifically the three kids and how they work and what happens when they face challenges is a lot more realistic, I'd say, than a lot of movies will.
Portrays it more realistic.
Yes.
When we get to spoilers, we're
Yes.
gonna
Well,
have
I'll
to
go
talk
into
about
more details,
the second
but-
act, falling action.
Right.
Yes. But I think they did a very good job of portraying the characters without like being like, oh, it's a movie and we have to follow the plot diagram.
Yeah. What I love about this movie is that when it first began, it begins with a scene with Everest. I don't know if that's too much of a spoiler. And I wasn't too interested. I was like, okay, this seems very basic kid movie down the road. I feel like I know what's gonna happen. And then when we get to like the actual human characters, I was more invested into like their whole plotline, just their lives, and I sort of forgot that Everest was a thing. And so when we get into that stuff, I was like, okay, now it's sort of picking up. And then obviously I have a point where things get even better once they start going on their journey. Just awesome.
Yeah.
Anyway, Josh, anything that you want to talk about?
Those are really the highlights. I also am very biased towards Chloe Bennett. I love her to death. I think she's a great actress, and she did a great job in this film. Also, it is refreshing to see a movie that will do well in China, but not because it's pandering to China.
Yeah. Also note that this movie has the highest original animated grossing movie of the year so far, which is, I think it either made 50 or 90 million. I don't remember which it was, but I don't know if it had much competition though this year either, because I know there was a lot of animated sequels and stuff with like Toy Story 4, Lego Movie 2,
Secret Life of Pets too.
Right. But I know Missing Link came out, which was like one of the claymation things. I never saw it, but I know it's a popular studio that people like, British studio. But yeah, good for this movie. Then also, I gotta say, this is also the first time I've ever seen Chloe Bennett in any movie. Well, seen. And I gotta say, I was pretty impressed. I thought she did a good job. I think other actors and actresses did a subpar to a good job. I wasn't too thrilled with the villain. Not the villain, but the villain.
Yeah,
we'll get to that obviously. But just, okay. And then I guess we're gonna wrap it up here. Overall ratings, Josh.
Solid 7.
7, okay.
It was great. It's something that I would actually think about rewatching.
That's what I was thinking about on the way home. I was like, okay, here's the difference between the Dora and this movie for me. I would actually watch this movie again and like be somewhat excited to watch it again. And compared to Dora, I'd be like, okay,
never again.
And considering that I don't do this with a ton of movies because a movie has to stand out for me to want to own it, I will probably buy this movie.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not that thrilled about it, but I don't blame you for wanting to buy it. Because I also have to say that there are a lot of really cool, neat, like, just shots in this movie.
Oh, the animation's great.
It's very good, and I don't know, you just go into this movie thinking like it's some like Blue Sky or Illumination like movie, but then as it evolves, you're like, oh yeah, it's DreamWorks. They make good movies sometimes.
This is what DreamWorks is supposed to be.
Shrek 1, 2, 4. Kung Fu Panda 1, 2, 3. How to Train Your Dragons, which I forgot to say. They already had a movie come out earlier this year, How to Train Your Dragon 3.
Yeah.
Which I had never seen any of them, but
I saw the first one.
apparently like it's one of the best reviewed movies of the year so far. So I mean, I'll have to watch it apparently, but anyway, Kat, your rating?
I'll give it a solid 8 out of 10. I very much enjoy animation, just because it's something I can kind of watch no matter what I'm doing, and I quite enjoy that because I'm a very busy person.
Mm-hmm.
So if I can like turn something on and enjoy it while I'm doing something else, that kind of works for me. And this is definitely something I can see myself buying.
All right, I give it a 7 out of 10 as well, probably maybe a 6. I'm faltering because I probably wouldn't own this. I mean, but I definitely wouldn't mind watching it again because it's entertaining. But yeah, that's about it for this non-spoiler section. So thank you guys so much for sticking around for this, and stick around for spoilers if you want. See you in a few seconds. Hey, welcome back everybody. It's time to talk about spoilers of Abominable. Alright guys.
Abdominal.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't know why I just have a hard time pronouncing this movie's title. I don't really know why it's even called that. They should call it Everest.
That was the original title. It was the working title.
What the heck? Anyway, Any major points you guys want to talk about?
This could have been a non-spoiler, but I brought up how good the animation was, especially with Everest. The
His
fur
hair. Yeah, his
on
fur.
him was awesome. It
Yeah.
did so many really cool things just in general with the animation.
Yeah.
This movie definitely is a kid's movie in a way where it has plot conveniences.
A lot of Deus Ex Machina.
Everest is basically a MacGuffin.
He's a MacGuffin and Deus Ex Machina at the same time.
However, it didn't bother me because I was enjoying what was happening.
I was also like, I just want to, let's keep going,
Like,
let's keep going.
It's not that I don't notice the plot details and things that I enjoy that are like holes or conveniences. It's just when what I'm watching is good and I'm invested,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't bother me near as much as it would in
Yeah.
something else.
Right.
But yeah, it was just, overall, I just loved it.
Yeah, again, some of these shots are really good.
This
This is-
scene,
Really good scene, yeah.
the score when they're first climbing up the Buddha, it's
Is it
very
Coldplay?
much.
Well,
No.
after that.
Okay, it's Coldplay after that. I forgot Coldplay.
But there's just a score. I don't remember what it's called.
The Laishan Buddha, because it's on my phone already.
Yes. And they're all climbing up the Buddha, and it's very much noticeable. Like, it's very loud, it's kind of in your face, you're meant to notice it. That being said, that only works when the score is good, and it worked. And I am not, Josh is the score person, he's the musical, whatever.
Definitely, yes.
But for once, I walked into a movie, noticed the score, and was like, I like this, and
Oh, yeah.
I want to listen to this.
Yeah.
Like, it was very incredible, and that goes for most of the scores in the movie.
I also have to say, this is somewhat of a negative. I think there was a really weird sort of Deus Ex Machina problem with the fact that they didn't introduce something before they used it as a Deus Ex Machina. So I noticed something that when it was like one of the first chase scenes, they were running away from the cops in like, what was it, Hong Kong or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
And they went on top of a tower.
Yeah.
And they go, oh, what time is it? He goes, 8 o'clock. And they're like, oh, yeah, light show. I mean, unless you know about that tower or whatever it is, they didn't introduce that tower or the fact that it lights up at 8 o'clock or whatever. So it just sort of came out of nowhere and it didn't. I feel that happens a few times in this movie.
Yeah.
Same with like the fact that they introduced the whole thing with they had been to all the places that her dad wanted to go.
Okay, that.
I know they introduced the whole thing about like her dad and her wanting to go to these places, but they didn't really introduce the importance of like that statue or anything until they were right there.
Okay, but also, when Everest wakes up later, he specifically looks at the map
Yeah.
and sees all the things and looks at the picture of her and her
I
dad.
didn't think about that.
Yeah.
But I didn't know.
So
that.
when they revealed that he was specifically doing that, I was
Yeah.
like, okay, that's awesome, because that wasn't just a, oh, well, I know that, like, this is just what
Oh,
the
no,
coincidence.
I'm
It
wise.
was he actually looked at the map and saw all the pictures
Okay,
and everything, and
that's cool.
whether you
Mhm.
think whether you can believe into that or not
Yeah.
is to each their own. But I was like, that's a cool inclusion.
Yeah.
Yes.
I guess. Also, I want to talk about the two boys. I don't remember their names. It's like Yin and Ping or something like that.
It's Pang
Pang
and
Yin.
Yin, I believe.
Yin.
Hang
Yeah.
in yin.
And Pang is the little one, right?
Yes.
The little cousin, and right. So, again, I think these characters have a pretty neat evolution, and they have pretty
Mhm.
interesting arcs. Not what I was totally expecting. Mostly for the older cousin, not much the younger cousin. I thought the younger cousin was pretty bland as like, cause like he reminded me a lot of like other like young kids in other movies.
Mhm.
Like it's what I expected. But the older cousin, I liked his thing. I liked what he showed us, especially with the villain, which is probably my favorite part about this entire movie. That's the next thing. So this is
Burnish, Mr. Burnish.
Mr. Burnish. Super cool and not what I was expecting at all.
Mhm.
It reminded me of what's his name from Up.
Oh, Carl
Months.
Months. Ah, yeah. Okay.
Mm.
A little bit. So at first they do a really good job with this character. This is my favorite part
Absolutely.
of all in this entire movie. So they very much portray him as a very two-dimensional. I don't care about nature. Basically, the villain from the Lorax, if you guys remember.
Yes.
That's who they portray him as for like the first half of this movie. And then as soon as they get him out into nature, things change dramatically. And I was like, wait a minute, this is interesting. and I really like this character. So basically, he gets into nature and he starts admiring like the trees for like a split second, and he's like, "All right, chop it down," and then they chop it down for him to have him in his condo or whatever.
He wants to be with it.
Basically, yes. So he was almost there, but anyway, what do you guys have to say about this villain?
I specifically, like, in the car ride on the way back to my house, we were talking about this movie, and I specifically pointed out that I really liked his, like, slow progression. I like his, like, very, like, kind of almost unnoticeable character arc.
Right. I love that they waited to start showing it, too. Like, they showed us the awful human for, like, half the movie, and, like, that's all you would expect. And then they give us that.
And it's very much gradual. It's not just like a flip of a coin change.
Exactly. It's even up until his turn too. He's still like.
And I have mixed feelings on villains that are just villains, and there is one of those in this movie, but I am more okay with it because they do something with him.
Yes.
Instead of just having it be there's a villain to be a villain.
Right.
Because that's what she's for.
Right, and like this is the lady played by Sarah Paulson. And this is the second time that Sarah Paulson has played a villain in this year that I just don't like. Anyway.
I don't even know what it is. Keep going.
But basically, she is the villain of the villain. It's revealed that she doesn't care about nature at all, and she's supposed to ruin it. She basically adds nothing to the plot. If she didn't exist, the same things would have happened, basically.
She is exactly what I praised Mr. Burnish for not being, which is flip of a coin, change to villain, for no reason whatsoever.
And I probably would have liked this movie a lot more if she just wasn't in it.
Well, see, but I'm not sure about that, but at the same time, I would have given this movie a lot more grief if they wouldn't have done the thing with Burnish. Her being there is whatever to me, but the fact that they did something with Burnish makes me be able to not feel as angry or whatever about her.
I mean, it's just like at the beginning though, she is like the nature sympathizer basically, and then her and Burnish just switch.
Yeah.
Because she's.
But you gotta have someone fall to their death. It's an animated movie.
I mean, I guess. I mean, she did it to herself. She literally crashed. Oh my gosh. She's just not smart either.
No, she's not.
Like, and literally, like, as soon as like she starts doing villain stuff, within like 2 or 3 minutes, she's done. She dies.
Also, I called it at the beginning of the movie that she was the villain.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Within the first like 5 minutes, I was like, it's her.
And I think she looks like the babysitter from Incredibles.
She does.
Little bit.
Okay, I was gonna say I want to circle back to. It's actually the scene at the Buddha statue, but it's this. In the plot diagram, if you look at just a basic plot diagram, there is the second act falling action.
Yes.
Where something has to happen to split the characters up so they can come back together
and be a stronger
the third act. When it is written well and makes sense, that is fine. When it doesn't, it is frustrating. This horse has been beaten to death at this point, but Guardians of the Galaxy to Suicide Squad. Guardians of the Galaxies is written well and makes sense, and Suicide Squad is in there because they have to have it on the plot diagram.
Is Guardians of the Galaxy when Drax calls Ronan to nowhere?
No, that's kind of like they have they're sitting around and that's like the right thing.
Oh, okay, get that.
This movie does not have that. When her violin breaks,
I was gonna say that's there are like sparks of it that could be, but then they don't.
Right,
fall
like
through.
you specifically pointed out that she could have gotten angry at them and stormed off.
But that doesn't seem like something
like
that
her.
character would do.
Exactly.
So instead, she just walks away, and then she comes back, and she's not angry anymore.
Well, the older cousin.
Yeah,
he goes and talks.
He comes and comforts her.
Well, yeah.
And that kind of takes place of that, and I adored the fact that they did that.
It's awesome. And then when they come back, Adverse had fixed the violin with his magic first strings.
Wonderful touch to me. Yes. I totally cried.
You cried? Wow,
I cried like 3 times watching this movie.
All right. That's an awesome point that you came up with. I'm not sure what else do you want to talk about? I mean,
just in general, I got so much more out of this
than expected, right?
Than I thought I was going to.
Also, I want to praise that, like, when it was like wrapping up to like the end, when they were on top of the mountain, they were giving Everest back to the parents. I realized, like, wow, this movie feels longer than like an hour and a half, but not in a bad way.
Yes.
Like, it feels like I've been on a journey.
And because she's able to say goodbye to Everest, she's able to let go of her dad.
Yeah.
And she's able to be better with her family.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot. I remember. I also love the little added touch of her like. She said earlier that she had never like actually like even cried over her dad yet.
Yeah.
And then finally, when she's playing the violin on the statue, you see like I think I only saw like a few tears, and that's like that. I thought that was a really neat touch.
Yeah.
I would say being someone that has lost someone very close to me, especially recently.
Yeah.
I very much like understood her arc as a character.
Yeah.
And it's very easy to like overdo grief in a movie. Cue any Liam Neeson movie ever.
The whole movie.
Literally all of them.
Taken.
Half of Cold Pursuit.
Like all of them.
The Commuter.
Exactly.
Non-stop.
Star Wars Episode 1.
It never ends. But like it's really easy to just kind of overdo grief and paint it as something that it's just not.
Schindler's List. Sorry, I'm still thinking of Liam Neeson movies.
The list will never end.
Literally.
Literally. He'll never stop. But I very much enjoyed, you're fine, the way that they portrayed her grief and the way she kind of worked through it. It was very much relatable. And she's still, even when she comes back, she's still got the grief. It's not like it's gone. She's just more like accepting of it now, and I really appreciated that.
Right. I forgot. I also want to touch on one character in particular that I almost forgot. Let's talk about David.
Oh, David.
Let's talk about David.
Oh, David. Every time his name was said, I was cackling out loud.
At first, I was like,
You darted David.
You darted
Dude,
Dave.
You darted David. And then
That was needed your coat, Dave.
Yeah. I'm just underwear. And then also, whoop. There it is.
Oh, the whooping snakes? Yep.
Whoop. There it is. Whoop.
There
There it is. Dave. Anyway.
Dave is the perfect example.
Literally just a random like security guard dude that lives throughout the entire movie, thankfully.
But that's an example of how
whimsical humor that works.
You
It
can
literally comes out of nowhere and I love it.
But
Yes.
it will be funny to children, but it can be funny to older audiences.
Exactly.
Yeah,
it's one of the few instances in this movie where I thought the comedy worked for everyone.
Well, yeah, there were a couple things in there, like there's your butt jokes and stuff, because it's a kid's movie. But
Yeah.
there wasn't a lot of it,
Yeah.
which was nice.
It was whimsical humor that I think most audiences can enjoy, which is a good thing to have in an animation. I know there are a lot of times the comedy, Dora, just isn't for our demographic, which makes it a lot harder to review. And
Definitely an interesting watch though. Watch the review down there.
It's just a phase.
On that note.
Anyway, any very last things you guys want to throw out there? Anything before we wrap it up and let you guys go for today?
Absolutely see this movie, even if you don't go see it in theaters, because it's just a great movie. Watch it with your family. You'll all cry.
I would buy an Everest plushie.
I would absolutely. Josh and I have agreed that for Christmas we're each going to buy each other an Everest plushie and act like we're surprised.
Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, this is definitely better than Shark Tale or a lot of other low-grade DreamWorks movies. That
We don't
have
talk
out there.
about Shark Tale or Over the Hedge in this house.
Yeah. Or well, we could talk about B-movie.
I-
Better than B-movie, actually.
You like jazz?
You like jazz?
I like jazz. So yeah, check this movie out. Like you said, it doesn't have to be in theaters. I mean, you can Redbox it, buy it on Blu-ray if you really are into it that much, like this guy over here. But with all that being said, I just have to know, Josh, where can you find us?
Lots of different places. If you're watching this right now, then that means you have access to the channel, and we do reviews here pretty much every Wednesday. We also do a podcast that's currently on hiatus, but will be coming back soon. And the link to that is in the description below, as well as our social media, which is at JD Studios 208 on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and Snapchat on occasion.
Awesome.
We're not as active because school is in session, but we're still here.
I also forgot to say Happy Spooktober, everybody. It's
Woo!
spooky season officially,
That's right.
which means we'll be having some spooky treats of our own for you guys in a few weeks.
Heck yeah.
Speaking of which, this wrapping up, I gotta say, I'll see you guys next week with a special review of, can I say?
Sure.
Joker.
Woo!
See you guys next week.